Hello and welcome to another episode of Panel on Panels, the podcast about all things comics, comics related. I'm your host, John Campbell. Joining me as always, my co-host, Mike Gorgoni.
Hello, John.
And Mr. Donovan Eilert.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
And there people can respond once again.
Yeah, feel free.
I think that's what we said. We're the friendliest podcast. You know?
Sure.
What other podcast is involving you in such a way?
What other podcast is giving you time to respond?
Exactly.
Unneeded
you, maybe.
seconds of dead air just for you.
I mean, yes, it pads out the length of the podcast as well. I'm not saying that's why we're doing it, but we need those 2 seconds. And I think it warms the hearts of our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
Like a nice gooey marshmallow slowly blackening over a crisp fire
Yes.
until eventually it falls off and into the fire. And then you're like, oh, marshmallow.
I think you're toasting marshmallows wrong.
Oh, okay.
Really? How do you do it, John?
Not like that. You're doing this as well?
Yeah.
You don't leave
boy.
it in there slightly too long until it inevitably falls off the stick in just a gooey blackened
The last
puddle.
couple of times I've just been throwing the marshmallows in the fire because I know they're ending up there eventually.
Yeah, just save
My
you the time,
s'mores
right?
are cold chocolate
Uh-huh.
and graham crackers. Marshmallows never make it.
Good, yeah, okay. What? Oh, my God.
Brief
We need
windows
to-
into
we need to-
Donovan and I lives.
We need to stop talking about comics and address some other parts of you guys' lives, because this is
There's nothing
this is
wrong
scary.
with me. There's nothing wrong
See,
with me.
my s'mores still have the marshmallows. They just taste like ash.
Yeah, which you like, though, to be fair.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You just add a little extra?
That's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah. When I sweep out my fireplace, I usually use that as garnish on many of my food dishes.
yeah.
Top ramen.
There's
little
not enough
hash.
ash on this sandwich.
No.
You know what this could use?
Some ash.
Some ash. But you're specific. Oh, like a cherry wood ash. Or
Oh, yeah. No.
Pine ash.
He's a connoisseur.
Sure.
Your different kinds of ash really accent different foods in different ways.
You're being very meticulous about the way you say the word ash. I
Well,
appreciate
because
you don't want all your
ash-
food tasting like ash.
Yes.
Oh, no, you do.
No, you do, yeah.
I do. I don't want it tasting like ass.
Oh,
What's the difference?
One's in
Oh.
your butt.
The first one.
Wait a minute. Okay. It's in your... It's not just is your butt?
No.
So the
I
ass
think-
is... This
No,
is
the
a
ash
terrible-
is in your butt because when you eat it, you poop it out.
Gentlemen, I think
my
this is semantics. This is maybe semantics.
That's what this
In or
podcast is
on,
about.
About,
This
around.
is a semantics podcast.
Yeah. Prepositions only.
Prepositions only. Right? That's what we're recording
Preposition
today.
confidential.
I
That's
really
our
hope I
podcast
don't
name.
release this show as an episode of Panel on Panels accidentally.
That would be weird.
That'd be really unfortunate
Yeah.
for our listeners.
Awkward.
Our
for
listeners
everyone.
would be so confused.
But people know I would never do that.
we say as you were listening.
They rest assured.
What are we talking about today, John? Because
I
as
don't
opposed
know.
to my bizarre eating habits.
I don't know anymore. What we're no, we're talking about the X-Men.
Oh, X-Men. Mm-hmm. I like mutants.
The Uncanny X-Men, the Astonishing X-Men, the all-new X-Men.
All new, all different.
Well,
No,
those are
that's the
Avengers. I don't know if
Avengers,
they're...
yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. The X-Men are new. They're not different.
Oh, okay.
In
But
fact-
they are different. That's kind of the problem.
Well, but in fact, actually, the all-new X-Men are the old X-Men
Oh. Wait, what? Now I'm confused.
because of time travel, which is always confusing.
There's a
travel.
lot of time travel in X-Men comics.
There's quite a bit of time travel.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't know if it's come up on this podcast, but my
You don't... Oh,
my time travel issues.
Gorgoni only likes the time travel displayed in the movie Looper. Mm-hmm. Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Or
and,
Back to the
Bruce
Future.
Willis. Or Back to the Future. If it doesn't fall into those two camps,
No.
Then-
I
Whoa.
I like time travel that works.
believe us, he's changing his tune
I saw Back
right
to
now.
the Future. It worked, man. not only in the context of the movie, but as just a great
Now,
movie.
you know I have issues with those movies because of their titles.
Oh, not this theory again. We're never going to get to talking about X-Men. By the way.
We are right now. Time travel.
Time travel.
They're going to time travel back into time, and we're not going to record this podcast.
thereby saving our listeners all the wasted minutes of listening.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, we failed, and we're dead in the past. somewhere.
We went too far.
This will be our
Turns
last
out
episode.
dinosaurs are dangerous.
Yes.
Who knew? Who knew?
You miss a decimal point.
And you end up 65 million years in the past.
Yeah. And fodder for Stegosaurus.
Sure, Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a condition that I had once. It's worse than pink eye. You get Stegosaurus. It's where
Just
you get-
really big bony plates coming out of your eyes. Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I fell on some glass.
That's
Yeah.
like really terrible X-Men
yeah.
superpower.
You got some drops. It cleared it up.
Yeah, some drops clear eyeglass right out.
That's how it works, right?
We're never going to start
I'm a
talking about
doctor.
comic books.
No, because we're starting an optometry podcast. So let's talk about X-Men.
Yes, please.
The X-Men consistently one of the most popular titles, characters, teams, whatever you want at Marvel.
Aren't they like generally the best-selling book they have?
They generally have been for the majority of Marvel's run. I mean, at least since the 70s when Claremont took over. They are consistently in, if not the top, then in the top 5. And I think I want to open this up with sort of what do you guys think that is? What about the X-Men is so appealing to readers?
One word, John. Wolverine.
Well, I mean,
Wolverine sells books.
but there are X-Men titles without Wolverine.
Blasphemy.
I concur, but I think it goes more than just people like Wolverine, because you can go and read a Wolverine book.
Sure.
But those aren't necessarily the highest selling ones. It's specifically the X-Men. I mean, there's fun with seeing him in the context of these other characters.
It's true.
But I mean, do you think there's something I was going to say is, do you think there's the outcast nature of the X-Men?
Nobody's ever called Batman a freak. Nobody's
Right.
like, you freak, get out of our city.
Well, I don't know if that's true, actually.
Okay, but they hardly ever do. But you get like people who are actively trying to save the
Right.
human race, and the human race is like, we're not sure if we want this. And then they also have the conflict with the evil mutants or the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, depending on.
Well, you got those people who think they're saving the human race by getting rid of mutants, and
Yeah.
we get a lot of
Yeah,
issues
yeah.
where that's concerned.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but I think that we talked a bit about this in the Spider-Man episode. Why Spider-Man is so popular is that he's sort of this put upon nerd and such like this. The X-Men take it to a whole new level with being outcast into
Even
actually
after they have their awesome
societal
powers and-
outcast. Yeah. If any, I mean,
That's part of the problem.
I mean,
Donovan.
that's the thing. And I think that's also that dichotomy between superpowers are awesome, but superpowers are also this burden in this world of the X-Men.
But they're also terrifying for us normal people. It's like, what? That
Exactly.
person can shoot ice out of their hands and
Yeah.
freeze me to death? He should not be allowed in normal society.
I mean, in that sense, in some ways, the X-Men are one of the most realistic portrayals of superheroes because people probably would be afraid of this. I mean, this would be terrifying. I mean, there's in the first movie, there's that line about the Senator Kelly in that movie has the line about there's a girl who can walk through walls. What's to stop her from walking into a bank vault and stuff like that? I mean,
Right.
there's this constant sense of, well, yes, this person you say is using their powers for good, but they could easily do something terrible. Look at this crazy Magneto fellow. I think that's direct lines from the movie.
Look at this Magneto fellow.
Isn't he crazy?
Well, yeah, I mean, objectively, probably.
We'll talk about Magneto. We talked a bit about him in our villains episode. We'll talk a bit about him here as well, of course. Because
Of course.
how can you not?
Another thing I think that makes him so appealing is you can pick up a trade, and in like 3 sentences, you can explain to somebody what the whole deal with mutants is. You know, they're born that way. They have cool powers. Be on the lookout for that. People don't always like them, and there's good mutants and bad mutants. That's it. You don't have to go, well, he was a nerd. He's been by a radioactive spider. Now he does this. His uncle was murdered. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't see that that's that much more
I feel like,
complicated.
though, mutants is so streamlined.
Well, mutants is very. I mean,
they're
ignore.
born that way.
Yeah, ignore
They're
the good,
Lady
evil,
Gaga.
even thing like that.
That's where she got that. She's a huge X-Men fan.
That's what I've always thought.
But I thought that was on purpose because it got to the point where they were tired at Marvel of creating these weird, random origin stories for these characters. So it's
Sure.
like mutants, superpowers, they just got them.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I'm saying, if you just leave it at these people have powers because they were born with that, then yeah, you're right. That is incredibly simple.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
don't have
like-
to focus on an origin story at all.
No,
you
not
focus on the
really.
origin of the team, which is interesting. Think about we just did an Avengers episode, and the Avengers, you have to know all of the individual Avengers before they come together, and it makes sense. The X-Men, in one movie, you get all these brand new characters, and it makes sense because it's like, oh, that guy can do this, and this person can do this, and
Because
think
mutants.
because mutants, exactly.
I think what you're talking about is another reason why I think this book has such appeal, which is it's an ensemble book.
Oh, yeah. Teams
and-
are always fun.
Teams are always fun, but I mean, specifically in the X-Men, like you're saying, that they don't. I mean, yes, Wolverine has his own title and occasionally something, but the X-Men is always an ensemble book. The Avengers are disparate characters who come together under the moniker the Avengers. The X-Men are always this team.
Or a team of some kind.
Yes.
Same
yeah,
with,
I mean, it's not.
Fantastic Four. You don't
Yes,
really get,
exactly,
you don't
yeah.
get like a Thing individual comic or.
I mean, maybe
Johnny
you get an
Storm.
occasional miniseries, but for the
Sure.
most part, if you want to see those characters, you pick up a Fantastic Four book.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If they still publish them.
Do they?
They do not publish
Well, see-
Fantastic Four books anymore.
Wow.
At the moment.
Marvel doesn't.
Just gone.
Yeah. due to some issues with their disagreements with Fox.
Oh, yeah, we're getting
Speaking
movies
of
soon.
which, Fox's portrayal of the X-Men in the movies overall
Very good.
very good, and it kind of makes me sad to not see them wrapped into the MCU.
Yeah, very much. I mean, this is something else I want to talk about, which is the place of the X-Men in the Marvel Universe as a whole, in the comics. Obviously,
Because that is also weird in that the X-Men, I feel, in the Marvel comics, have always been a little bit separate from everybody else.
yeah, of course, yeah. I mean,
All the X titles are just that. They're X titles. They kind of lie within their own little
yeah, I mean, because they have
subdomain.
and so in Marvel, you sort of are always building to these big crossovers, right? With everything
now, but yeah.
I mean, that's the thing now. But within X-Men, there are crossovers.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
sort of the thing where. So that's almost interesting, where they have their own continuity, their own shared universe within the larger shared universe of Marvel.
I always saw Marvel as broken down into 3 big chunks, and that's the X titles, the cosmic stuff, and everything else. I mean, you can get into subdivisions of all of those things.
Street level characters,
sure.
mystic characters.
Right.
Cosmic.
But those are the 3 big chunks, especially in the last, say, 20 years that I've seen the division of Marvel books in.
Sure, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, where like the X-Men are definitely part of the Marvel Universe. They're definitely involved in things.
Oh, yeah.
But they do kind of have their own little world to themselves to a certain extent.
I mean, quite literally when you get to, like, pieces where they're carving out countries and islands for themselves.
I mean, I would love to see them in the MCU, but I feel like with a few characters exceptions, I think it's fine being separate. Like, I want to see Wolverine in like an Avengers title,
Right,
or
and now,
Iron Man.
And now that we have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, I would want them to be the children of Magneto. I mean, like,
yeah, so we want to get
mutants at
we want to
that.
get
Or at
Magneto
least
in
mutants,
there,
yeah.
and we'll figure that out. But there's people like, I don't know, like Gambit. If he never showed up with the Avengers, like, I love Gambit.
You don't
but
want to see Gambit side by side with Iron Man?
Okay, I do want to see him, but it's not like there's no void there. There's
I
nothing
want to
I'm
see
missing.
Hank McCoy have an intellectual conversation with Hank Pym.
How often does
Sure.
that happen, though?
All the time. They're 2 of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe.
I don't remember many conversations with them. But
Oh, yeah.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Whenever they need to get, like, all the science brains together.
Yeah, you throw Reed Richards.
You got
in
Reed
there.
Richards, Hank Pym, Hank McCoy, Tony Stark's generally in there, and Bruce Banner if he happens to not be green.
And then
Yeah, that's sort of his
And then
problem.
the evil one is just Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom will show up if the world is in big enough peril to where...
Even Doctor Doom is afraid of him?
Well, no. He's not afraid. It's like, what? You're going to destroy my world? I'm Doom.
Yeah. If anybody's going to destroy this world, it's going to be me.
It's going to be Doom.
Yeah.
And then I'll still be fine. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the lead into Secret Wars, Marvel's big
Oh,
crossover right now, is Doom's kind of on the side of, he's not necessarily a good guy because he's been going around destroying all of these other alternate realities,
Well, yeah.
so that the main...
Is he
universe-
ever really a good guy?
He's looking out for himself and what he thinks is his,
Yeah.
which is everything.
It's true.
But this is not a podcast about Doom.
No.
Back to the X-Men.
Maybe someday. Yeah, back to the X-Men. The other thing that, I mean, they were very much a product of their times when they were created.
Oh, yeah.
As well, which I think is very interesting. That they, I mean, there is this thing about being outcast, about being the persecuted. And this came about in the 60s during the height of the civil rights movement.
Oh, and there's some direct allegories to be drawn.
Well, I mean, the most obvious one, I mean, I've even heard Stan Lee talk about Professor Xavier being Martin Luther King and Magneto being Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. I mean, in some ways, that's sort of, I think, like the kernel of the idea, and then expanded from that.
Oh, and in the years since then, they've like had so much more going on with those characters.
But there's always still that like kernel thing
Yeah.
where you're sort of like the philosophies of that.
Yes.
Are you can boil them down to that.
Is Professor X still dead right now?
Yes, as far as I know.
Give
To
it
be
a
fair, I have not read everything. That's
Yeah, fair enough.
And we are about to blow up the whole universe pretty
true.
much with Secret Wars.
Though he was dead in Ultimate as well. So he's dead in both as of right now.
It doesn't mean he can't come back somehow.
Yeah, fair enough.
Be a lot of disturbances. Who knows?
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I mean that there's this, and then what's really interesting is it was created in that 60s civil rights movement, but I think it's continued to be. It just keeps getting. It just keeps evolving to whatever the new civil rights thing. I mean, anything can be applied. Any kind of persecuted people any kind of outcast sort of thing can glom onto the X-Men in some way. They can see themselves in it.
Or those stories can be told through the X-Men. It's not necessarily those things getting glommed on per se, because I think that does a disservice to
but
how well some of these books are written.
I think you can identify those. What I'm saying.
Sure.
So if you were a black person in the '60s and you can go, okay, wait, the X-Men, even though they're all white at that point. Once again, wait for Claremont. I can relate to their struggle, and now you could be a gay person who goes, okay, wait a minute, I see a kinship here in some ways.
You bring that up just because the recent outing of Iceman?
No, I don't bring that up because of. I mean, I've always thought of the X-Men as. Being that you could make that connection. I mean,
sure, yeah.
I think. I mean, I don't think this is the only reason why, but I think there's a reason why. At least partially, the best X-Men filmmaker is a gay man. You know, I mean, that I think you bring something to that. I mean, I think because I think everybody feels outcast in some way or different in some way.
Nerds, what? No,
right? But I'm saying that. So here are the X-Men here to go. The things that make you different also make you powerful.
Yeah, no, I think definitely a huge play into the appeal of the X-Men, and especially when you can pick out one character and go, yes, that's even within the persecuted, there's characters that, while part of the larger whole of the people who are being shunned by society, there are particular characters who, as individuals, we can say, yes, that's me, even within this smaller microcosm.
Right. I mean, and I think we talked about some of the diversity within the team there, that in the originals they were a very Caucasian team.
Yes.
But when you see Claremont take over,
what was Cyclops' original?
Slim
Summers.
Summers.
Hey there, I'm Slim Summers.
I'm gonna bring it back.
Yeah. I think it's only in issue number 1 that he's referred to as that, but still not great.
Yeah.
Stan the Man was like, this is going to be awesome.
We'll call him Slim Summers because he's slim.
That's like George Lucas being like, it's pretty wizard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, something tells me it was maybe a placeholder. It's like, I don't know, he's slim, like Slim Summers. What, we printed that? That's not good.
They were printing comics so fast at that point, John. They didn't have time to actually reread what was written.
Yeah, send it out. What did I put, Slim? Uh-oh.
Whoa, that's a dumb name.
No.
And then they just change it.
I'll just change it.
With nothing else. Nobody's reading this anyway.
It's true, actually. When the book started, it was not a high-selling comic. In fact, it was canceled after. I mean, it went for a little while, but not too long.
There was no like Spider-Man or Fantastic Four.
And a lot of it is because if you read those, you may not recognize the team that's there. I mean, you'll recognize some of the characters, but I mean, you'll be thinking, "Where's Wolverine?"
Frosty the Snowman, Iceman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that original Iceman design is so dumb.
Or original Beast, who's just a big guy.
I like original Beast, quite frankly, and I like the not necessarily blue furry Beast version of him that appears in both Ultimate X-Men and in the all-new X-Men.
You don't like Blue Furry Beast?
I don't mind Blue Furry Beast, don't get me wrong. I've just seen so many iterations of him at this point that I'm like, make up your minds.
Well, now, here's a question to you guys. Do you prefer more sort of a wolf-like Beast or more cat-like Beast?
Cat.
You're a cat, the cat.
Cat-like Beast.
Like from Astonishing X-Men?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm fall more into like the wolfy kind of like... What he looked like in the 90s cartoon show is, I think, the quintessential Beast for me.
You think that's more wolf than cat?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. Cat lends itself to this intelligence and this.
No. I'm just talking about the actual appearance. I mean,
I know, but I feel like that informs other things as well.
But I mean,
if you see somebody with a cat face sneaking into a place, or you see somebody with a wolf face sneaking into a place, call the police. Either way.
I mean, he's a
if
little.
They have cat faces. Get rid of them.
He's more wolf-like, in that animated series.
Lupine, if you will.
In his appearance.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, but because if you read the Astonishing X-Men, he's very cat-like.
He looks like a cat.
Yeah.
He's got whiskers.
It's kind of cool.
No,
it
don't get me
is
wrong.
cool, yeah,
There's some cool, like there are interpretations of Beast that I like, and as the artists have changed how he looks over the years, they're like, "Ooh, that's a cool new looking Beast." And the new one is all like svelte and like very slick looking. And like I said, I don't mind Blue
He's
Beast.
a hip happening guy.
Sure. But I like the idea of Beast as just this like kind of stout, kind of wide fellow who's really good at leaping around and grabbing stuff with his feet.
I wonder why that would be.
Okay, you may be reading a little much into this, John, as you look at my physical proportions, but
The giant feet that you use to come around. It's all adding up.
Yeah,
like you said,
well,
we all relate to some of the X-Men that are at least
sure.
You did bring up the '90s animated series, which I think
It's only the best thing ever.
I mean, I think all three of us have talked about that. That's sort of our starting place for X-Men.
It was definitely where I got a sense of the team dynamic, I guess.
Yeah.
I had read like bits and pieces of the essential collections at the library and stuff, but quite frankly, I didn't really understand what was going on in those stories.
Kind of like we talked about,
and,
similar to the Spider-Man when we talked about that, where it was sort of like, well, we may have been familiar with the characters.
and some of the iconography.
Yeah, that's where you get into the character relationships, the character types, the mythology
Oh, yeah,
of
definitely.
X-Men. I mean, a lot of the great X-Men stories I saw on there first, like Dark Phoenix Saga,
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, exactly. Yeah.
Where I was like, that was a comic book too?
I think they even did Age of Apocalypse, didn't they?
I think so. I want to say.
The ability to ingest that so quickly and so easily as somebody who maybe doesn't read. I mean, that technically came out when I was born.
Yeah.
That came out in 1992.
Yeah.
That's my birth year. So, like, I wasn't watching it when it was.
John,
like,
we're old.
it isn't that much older. But,
We're a bit older.
the idea that, like, I was watching it when I was probably, like, 6. You know? I'm not reading comics super well at that point.
No, I think a lot of those.
But when that theme song hit,
Yeah, exactly.
that theme song,
that'll hook you right onto the
Just
TV.
calls you in from another room. You hear that? It's just like,
I mean, just that.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
clear the way!
But I mean, and the opening title sequence was
Oh,
really
so
cool.
cool.
With each of each person got like their own title card with the
Gambit with that staff and those cards. So cool.
Yeah, that Gambit was really awesome.
He's the coolest on that show.
With his
maybe.
he's got that trench coat and the staff. Yeah,
He's so Cajun. I like it.
He's got those
Fully
big-
Cajun.
big blue like knee-high boots and stuff. He's,
This was the height of like what the X-Men looked like in the 90s too.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was weird. The show kind of had a late 80s look to it. Because once we were into the 90s stuff, everyone had like giant vests and pockets everywhere and zippers.
pockets and pouches is
Pockets
what I
and
remember from when I was a
pouches.
kid. Every superhero had pockets and pouches. They needed to carry a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, just stuff.
The only exception
You can
is
shoot
Spe-
laser blasts out of your face. Why do you need all of these pockets? I don't know, just
Hey,
in case.
Cable needs a lot of change.
Yeah, he does.
That's all it is. It's just change.
How do you think he rides the bus?
And a
The bus
disposable
and cable
camera.
just gets on.
Yeah. Just big metal arm, huge gun.
No, I have exact change. Hold on.
Finding like nickels and dimes. Just ching, ching, ching,
He's got a pocket for each kind of currency.
He's not stealthy at all. You can hear him coming from miles away.
If there's one thing
Cable's
Cable
coming.
specifically has never been accused of, I feel like it's stealth.
Yeah, and it's because the coins. They don't mention that in the comics, but it's really just the coins.
Cable is a blow a hole in a wall and just open up kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's not. No,
That's why I like him.
Yeah, he's no. Cable's awesome. But yeah, no, that '90s show. I was gonna the early '90s, early into mid '90s was like a heyday for superhero cartoons. What happened? Why don't these exist anymore? Superheroes are more popular than ever.
I don't know what to tell you in that regard, John. You'd
going
have to ask
back.
the executives at Marvel and DC.
I mean, I know there's a big. Excuse me while I rant here about the state of modern cartoons, but
Go for it.
I know I've heard several people from within the industry say that the name of the game is funny these days, especially for boys cartoons.
Yeah.
The young boys want to watch stuff that's funny. They don't want to watch stuff that's serious.
we can't have a serious action cartoon anymore.
Right, that's the thing. So you have things like Teen Titans Go.
Ugh.
You know, it's the Teen Titans, but they're wacky, or they're Hulk Agents of Smash, and
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that show. I hate that show so much.
the Avengers Assemble, things like that. They all these things have a real sense of comedy to them. That while like Marvel movies have comedy, and even the X-Men movies have comedy in them, these are it's very forced and very juvenile.
But here's the thing: is
And I don't
these
think I
older
would've responded
shows
to that. Yeah.
had humor in them. That was the
Absolutely.
thing. They had moments of levity. They were still kids' cartoons at
But
their
the
heart.
humor came out of the characters.
Yes,
and they were really telling stories.
just like they do in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. I mean, but of these '90s shows, X-Men to me is probably the most actively faithful to the comic. I mean, they are adapting arcs.
Left and right.
Yeah, I mean, like exactly. I mean, Days of Future Past is Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Batman wasn't doing that. I
No.
mean, the only one I can think of is Mad Love, and even that was.
To be fair, Batman was reinventing the Batman wheel.
I mean, yeah, in some ways. But I mean, but I'm saying they could have done Batman comics, but I mean, the only one that they did directly was Mad Love, which was already based on the animated
Sure.
series to begin with.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that wheel turns, John. Like, oh, we made an episode. Let's make a comic. Let's make an episode out of that comic that we just made from an episode.
Yeah.
I'm lost. We should just go home.
Mr. Tim, can you say that one more time?
I didn't follow any of that.
Yeah.
Trust in Bruce Timm. He'll work it out.
That's the way I look at it. He has yet to steer me wrong. But yeah, no, I think so. I think that '90s show was a big starting place for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
and it was sophisticated. You know, I mean, like, or at least, I mean, I understood as a kid, but I can still watch it now and go like, these are good stories. You know, they didn't get as dark as the comics, maybe.
No.
But you know, they approached that. I mean, they did do Dark Phoenix. I mean,
Yeah.
and like a 5-part. That's the other thing. They take like 5 episodes. There were actual like threads throughout it. You know, there were serialized aspects to the show. So, I don't know.
No, it was very. I'm not going to say ahead of its time because I think other cartoons were doing the same thing at the time.
Sure.
There was a great rash of like serious action cartoons during that era where you have like X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman the Animated Series, Gargoyles.
Yeah, and Gargoyles is the only other one that I was going to say this about, which is that has that serialized aspect to the storytelling. There's actually a story to follow. As a kid, I had an investment in the Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey love triangle.
Right.
And I was like 4.
You've got like the thing is interesting about
You were
that
Team Wolverine, weren't you?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I was Team Cyclops.
is Gargoyles.
And we've never put that aside. To this day.
They're punching each other right now off camera. Off camera? There is no camera here. There we go. Take that, you Cyclops lover.
There's some lovely Foley work right there.
Yeah.
That's
how it's done.
It's interesting though, because Gargoyles and X-Men, you know, you said more serious tones, more serialized.
Yeah.
Are also both about like how do we live in a world that doesn't accept us?
Huh, interesting.
There is actually, I mean, I think thematically there are a lot of similarities between the two. Gargoyles also an amazing show,
Though one of those shows had most of the cast members from Star Trek The Next Generation.
which was actually a giant selling point for me. Even as a kid, I was like, Riker's on this show and Troy.
We're
and
talking about
Data?
Gargoyles, people. This doesn't really have anything to do with comics. There were Gargoyles comics, but if you haven't seen Gargoyles, regardless of your age, go and track it down. That show is phenomenal.
It's great.
Wasn't it what the 4th season? I don't want to spoil anything if people haven't seen this.
The
show.
3rd season gets a little weak, but
Okay.
It's still pretty.
it's still
Great.
okay.
Yeah, it's better than what's on.
I don't know.
television
There's a
right
scene
now.
where
It's like-
Goliath has to like defend himself in court, and that got weird.
I like that episode. Goliath for the prosecution.
Right.
No, so but like actually something I was the X-Men is, I mean, all these comics are about characters and stuff, but I really feel like X-Men is very much a character story. Like there are things in X-Men where they're not fighting giant robots, you know.
Right.
They're
dealing with the father-son relationship between Cyclops and Professor X.
Exactly.
And how that like may have driven Cyclops crazy.
Sure, I mean potentially. I mean, and when we talked about being an ensemble piece, something we've had conversations about amongst ourselves is does X-Men have a main character?
Yeah. At times, it definitely does.
Because it's the only book I can think of that I can't pinpoint a main character, or
Right.
maybe a few main characters. Even
There are definitely a few main characters.
I mean, if Wolverine is there, it feels like he's
but
kinda
by
front
the
most
same
of the
merit,
time.
Cyclops can be at the front a lot of the time.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the book comes down to those two characters. Hence our disagreements about Cyclops versus Wolverine.
I'm a big proponent of Cyclops.
I like
Like
Cyclops.
done correctly, he's a super interesting character.
I think both are.
Sure, absolutely. That being said, Cyclops can suck it. I mean, how many times? But this is interesting. I mean, this comes into the character dynamics between them. This debate isn't just us. I mean, this is the comics do this. I mean,
No, it's
frequently
true.
it comes down to Wolverine versus Cyclops.
They're
I mean,
button heads a lot.
we've
And
talked-
unfortunately, Wolverine has a metal skull.
Well, I
it's
love
true.
there's that first issue, Joss Whedon,
Astonishing X-Men.
Astonishing X-Men.
Yeah.
Great run.
Wolverine like climbs into Scott Summers' bedroom and is like, you know, Jean Grey's no longer around. He's with Emma Frost now, and Wolverine makes.
This
a
is how
comment
you
about-
honor her memory?
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think you're grieving too well. And Cyclops just opens up on him, and they constantly make reference to that later on. There's a time where the kids are like on edge, and Hank is like, why don't we just get these two to fight? Because they always enjoy that, you know? It's awesome. It's so good. And, man, they're constantly at each other's. I don't feel like in the Singer movies that they are really ever unified.
Cyclops is so disrespectfully portrayed in those movies, I feel like.
You don't like James?
No, he's fine. I just feel like they gave him nothing to do in those movies.
I don't feel he's disrespected in any of the Singer movies, but I do feel. I mean, I feel like X-Men 3 disrespected.
Oh well, that's legitimately they just wrote him out of the movie.
Yeah.
What happened to Cyclops? Oh, Jean Grey ate him. I don't know.
Something. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I feel like, especially in those first two movies where he's still around, he's just not given anything to do.
I think in the first movie, he's firmly the leader of the X-Men.
Kind of by default.
I mean, he's the one giving orders. He's the one flying the jet. He's the one.
Sure, but I don't know. That is Wolverine's movie through and through. Both of those ones are.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't.
That's not a bad thing. I just feel like you could still have Cyclops and show why he's the leader.
To be honest, it feels like Cyclops was written as the leader, and then after filming and editing and audience response, Wolverine's made the main character.
That's what it feels like to me. Like we assume.
No, I think that script was designed to make Wolverine the main character. I think
no, because we've talked about this before. Who is the audience surrogate in that movie?
The audience surrogate doesn't equal main character.
But you should theoretically be following Rogue.
I mean, you look at something like Hellboy. There's that FBI agent character who's the audience surrogate, but Hellboy's the main character.
It's true.
Yeah, but I feel like you're supposed to follow Rogue in that movie, and you don't.
No, you follow Rogue until we get to Wolverine,
which is not very long.
And then we follow Wolverine.
See, and that's so interesting.
But then their relationship with each other is a huge part of that movie as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
again, as soon as
Wolverine's never going to be an audience surrogate, so because he's not everyone.
The
can
relatability is.
But I think this gets to my point: is the movie feels like it was written as Cyclops being the leader, and that's what we're shown. It never feels like it. We're never given reason to believe why is Cyclops the leader, other than because we're told he is.
And part of that comes from the fact that it is told from Wolverine's perspective, and Wolverine is asking, "Why is this guy the leader?"
And that they cast Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Sure. But James Marsden was a good choice for Cyclops.
But you bring up Astonishing X-Men. There's that great scene in that where Cyclops freaking takes the visor off and just mows down the rogue Sentinel. And then Wolverine has that line, it's like, occasionally I remember why you're in charge, Summers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
We never get a moment like that for Cyclops in either of the movies.
We'll have to wait for Apocalypse. We'll see.
They have a Cyclops in Apocalypse?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
What?
Yeah.
How are they?
There's so many characters in that movie, I just assume
Cyclops
Cyclops
don't
is
know.
going to be one of the main characters from what I gather.
Cool. Awesome.
I mean, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm.
Yeah, the core X-Men.
How does that make sense?
What do you mean, how does that make sense?
This is the past.
Yeah, well, we're in the 80s now.
But that first movie takes place. The first Singer movie.
In Days of Future Past, we completely rewrite the timeline. Everything's fair game now.
Also, when we're coming into the first movie, it's kind of established that at least Cyclops and Jean Grey and Storm have been with Professor X for years. We have no idea how long.
They're not students; they're teachers at that point.
Yeah,
I guess. I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to make that work.
They're-
Because they haven't been in one of the prequel movie or whatever you want to call it.
they're teenagers. in this new
legacy
movie. But they're going to be
trilogy.
teenagers in this new movie.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not. These are not.
no, I think
I don't want 'em.
timeline-wise, I think it works.
Don't want them. Don't want teenager
Again,
Fantastic
everything
Four.
is
I don't want teenager.
everything is destroyed if
X-Men.
you use Wolverine Origins as like a fixed point,
Which
but
these
disregarding
movies
that
really
movie
aren't.
No,
I mean, they use some footage from it, but just because that's the footage they have of the Weapon X.
I
equipment.
feel like you need to disregard that movie entirely.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I think Bryan Singer has.
and so has Fox because they're making this new Deadpool movie.
Yeah, sure. And that'll be interesting to see how that fits into.
If it even does.
Yeah, the X. I mean,
It's
they
Deadpool.
They
Who
seem to
knows?
be talking like it does, but I could see if it. But it feels like.
I mean, there's rumors that Colossus is going to be in it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like a bunch of different X characters, so I have no idea.
That's something I'm always vehement about is when I'm telling people like, "Oh, you've not seen X-Men? Here's the order in which you watch it," and I have to explicitly say, "Do not watch X-Men Origins Wolverine. Watch the Wolverine.
Right.
It's great.
Oh, yeah.
X-Men Origins. Write this down. Repeat it back to me. Like, don't pick it up. Don't look at it. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about it."
What order do you... I mean, obviously, I would say X1, X2. Do you have people watch X3?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to.
You have
to
to.
for the Wolverine.
The Wolverine is completely contingent on the event
But
of
I
Last
do-
Stand, as is even Days of Future Past.
That's
but
horrifying.
But I do 1, 2, 3, the Wolverine. First class.
It was too important not to.
Yeah.
Days of
bring
Future
up.
Past. I watched the Wolverine before
And
First
it's not-
Class.
X3 isn't like unwatchable, but
it's a giant
They
mess.
do
it's
lot
a flawed
of stuff.
movie. It's a flawed movie, but there's some good in it, and it's I mean, if you watch it, you're not like, "Whoo, this is awful." It's not X-Men Origin, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, they needed to expand on that, and this is a little rushed, and there's too much going on over here. But
What is Angel doing the whole movie?
right? I mean, that's the thing. But I mean, there's a lot of
Crying.
problems. But I don't,
Cries a lot.
like I said, I don't think it'd be subjecting
not wrong.
someone to it, But yeah, I mean, so we talked a bit about Wolverine, and I wanted to talk about him because he's become so popular. He's transcended the X-Men.
Yeah, he's in everything.
I mean, do you feel like I mean, yes, he comes out of the X-Men, but you almost have to think of him as his own character. At this
Oh,
point.
he like Wolverine is almost its own subsection in between the Venn diagram that is like the X books and
Yeah.
the everything else books.
I mean, there's even I think it's still going. There's a comic called Wolverine and the X-Men.
that was definitely the I want to say like mid to late 2000s. There was another cartoon show,
Yes, there was one called Wolverine and
Wolverine
the
and the
X-Men.
X-Men. I forget when it was exactly on.
It was somewhere in the mid 2000s, I think. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, and that was definitely like because Wolverine is so popular, it's Wolverine. And oh yeah, also the X-Men are there.
I think in that show, if I remember correctly, the X-Men are missing, and he's looking for them.
or something like that.
It's something to the extent.
I
of
haven't
that, just a few
actually
of them.
watched that show. So.
It's all right. It's not bad.
Is it X-Men Evolution?
I might like it more than X-Men Evolution.
X-Men
actually.
Evolution is having rewatched it.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right.
It's no 90s show.
No. None of these are as good as the 90s.
It's like
show.
The
the
92.
X-Men are all in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a definite "Blah" attitude to it. Yeah, bro.
Our audience surrogate is Spike, and he rides a skateboard.
Yeah. There's definitely there's a almost a 90s aspect to it in that sense that to the extreme.
A little bit, yeah.
This could have been called X-Men Extreme. You know?
Oh God,
Or Cowabunga.
the Extreme X-Men. I feel like that has to have been a book at some point. That must have been.
I'm
a book.
sure it was, and that actually leads me to something which is the sheer number of X-Men books.
Ooh, so many.
God, there's a lot.
X-Force, Excalibur,
X-Factor.
X-Factor, X-Men, all the different types of X-Men. There's all new X-Men.
Yeah.
There's,
And then even you spin characters like Deadpool out of X-Men and into stuff like or Cable or I mean there are all these characters who started in X-Men and then have expanded.
Deadpool is definitely solidly his own thing at this point.
Now he is, but he did start in X-Men. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
he
So,
was.
I mean,
Actually, he started in X-Force.
oh, okay. But I mean, that's connected to X-Men. All roads lead back to X-Men.
No, it's true.
But I'm saying, yeah, that it has created this massive world. And for a while there, I mean, like in the 80s in particular, they just were adding X book after X book after X book.
Because they were selling.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and
Right
Claremont,
up until they didn't.
Claremont was writing a lot of them, I mean,
God, Claremont, man.
I don't know how he does it. He's back now in the X world writing Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I really want to pick up that book.
I have not read that yet, no, but yeah, that's very interesting.
One of these days, I'll dedicate time to reading his whole run of the X-Men, but good Lord, there's just so much of it.
Yeah, I have to do it in pieces. I'll read 15 issues here,
Right.
whatever there, because it's. I mean, I want to say it was 17 years that he was.
Does he
writing?
still hold the record for like the longest
Oh, yeah.
run on a book?
Oh yeah. No, but no one will even come close. I mean,
Challenge
on
accepted.
on one of these because I mean, I think Kirkman could take it eventually for Walking Dead. and
Sure,
stuff.
if that keeps going, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think for like a major character like
Yeah.
this, yeah, and yeah, for a while he was writing the side books as well.
Yeesh.
I think he was writing Excalibur.
It's just
and
like,
stuff
I want all of the X books.
Yeah, I mean, and there was a tight continuity that had to be. So he's just like, I'll just write them myself.
Yeah.
The guy's insane. And
No,
he's
it's great.
And a genius. He's an insane genius.
I'm picturing this idea of like people around in a break room and he's there and they're trying to like pitch ideas of like, here's a plot hole, and he's like, no, because if you remember in this issue, because of this,
Yeah.
and it's like, how does he do it? His brain all the time. He's got the entire world mapped out.
Which is really cool.
He
but-
was channeling Stan Lee's like Wikipedia-esque
Yeah,
powers,
yeah.
but only for mutants.
Yeah. Sure.
That's his mutant power.
I
He's
mean,
a mutant.
That's an interesting thing about it.
Sorry to
is,
out you.
An interesting thing about it is like Stan Lee created the X-Men, but to me, Claremont's really the one responsible for the X-Men as I know them.
You know why? It's because he never called anybody slim.
That's true. He did not. But yeah, I mean, really, like Stan, yes, he created the idea, he created a lot of the characters, but it was under Claremont that we got characters like Wolverine and Nightcrawler and Storm and Gambit
and storylines that really defined all of these characters as well.
And his biggest probably personal contribution, and that I think I don't know if because he didn't create Wolverine or he might have created Storm, but Kitty Pryde was always sort of like one of the characters he's most associated with.
Yeah,
and the creation of who's a hugely important character.
Oh, in one of the most hugely important storylines,
which
for the
is
X-Men, Dark Phoenix saga.
Yeah, and also Days of Future Past.
Also Days of Future Past, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and these are both Claremont.
Also X3.
And X3.
Hugely.
She was technically in that movie.
She was in that.
I mean,
I think she was. No, she was important in that movie.
She's a little important.
She's running around.
She stops the Juggernaut.
She does stop the Juggernaut.
But he's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't stop him until you face through the floor.
Until you're Kitty Pryde.
Yeah. Thank you, Ellen Page.
Yeah.
To be fair, she is like the perfect Kitty Pryde.
She's wonderful.
Great Kitty Pryde.
I'm so glad they got her back for Days of Future Past.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean that she's this hugely important character and cool powers and yeah,
dragon sometimes.
Sometimes a dragon.
Oh, Lockheed! I love Lockheed.
Yeah. Awesome. And her name's Shadowcat.
Sometimes,
yeah, it has not. I don't.
She's one of those characters her name has changed quite a bit over the years.
I'm okay with it.
Seems like she's mostly just Kitty.
You know
Pryde.
why?
Mostly just Kitty Pryde.
She has
like
a dragon. If Hank Pym had a dragon,
space dragon.
If Hank Pym had a space dragon, he could change his name whenever he wanted to.
Oh, okay. We see where the line is drawn then.
Yes.
Have yourself a space dragon, and you can do whatever the hell you want.
I have that shirt, actually. Just no.
To be fair, I kind of want that shirt now.
No space dragon, though.
Give me a space dragon, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting looking over all the classic X-Men storylines. They're almost all, I mean, really, they are almost all Claremont.
Didn't he, yeah. I was going to start spouting off about Ex Necrotia, but no.
He's not responsible for that.
No.
I mean, that's the other thing, too. Things like Ex Necrotia or Messiah Complex. The X books have the because they are their own universe, they're as dense as the Marvel continuity, and therefore kind of difficult to be a fan of. Because you need to be reading.
It's difficult to get into it, or if you drop off for years of time like I have, it's difficult to get back into it.
Because there is X-Force, X-Factor, all these things, and to know everything that happens in Ex Necrotia, you have to have read all of these things, and it's like, oh boy,
what's the legacy virus? I'm confused.
I mean, Avengers is a little bit that to a certain extent, but X-Men is way worse about that to me. It was sort of like, because I had sort of a similar thing to you, where I tried to get back into it a little while ago, and it was just like, I don't know who any of these characters are. And you start dealing with things like Hope Summers and stuff, and you're just like, oh, okay.
I like some of the Hope stuff.
Sure, some of it's all right, but I mean, like that alone. But the problem is, there's like 40 other stories connected to it.
It's true,
and that leads into things like Messiah Complex, which all stems out of House of M and stuff, and like. And then eventually it leads to Schism, and Schism's a pretty cool book actually, and that's very much Wolverine and Cyclops fighting each other.
Oh yeah.
And what I was going to say about them fighting each other actually is frequently the reason they're fighting each other is over Jean Grey.
A lot of the time, yeah.
I mean, and I think that's another reason why people are so drawn to this book. I think is that the relationships are so key to it.
Yeah.
I mean, people have got. I can't remember somebody. I think maybe it was in Claremont was talking about like, oh, it's like a soap opera. I mean, you go like, oh, who's some people want Cyclops and Jean Grey together. Some people want Wolverine, and then you read it to see what's my favorite. There is certainly it is a weird superhero comic in that part of the reason you're reading it is to see where's my favorite couple, how they're gonna.
Well, that's how a lot of these team books really shine is in not necessarily what the team is doing, but the interplay between the team members.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four and Avengers are both, as well as X-Men, the most interesting when it's the dynamics between these characters, not necessarily the bad guy they're punching this week.
Right, yeah, because I mean everything's going to have, once again, giant robots or exploding things or alien invasions or something. But yeah, it is sort of, and I think that really, once again, came in under Claremont. If you read that, there's also...
But how is Kitty Pryde going to deal with the fact that Colossus sacrificed himself for the good of Genosha?
Right, exactly, that kind of stuff. And it's just like...
Or did he?
Spoiler.
I mean, there is a lot of, like, in the Claremont stuff, there's a lot of, like, Wolverine being really sad and looking at Scott and Jean Grey on a date and just pining away. If only... But she can't.
He tried in Japan and it failed.
Mopey Wolverine is the best Wolverine, though. Mopey and brooding.
You're the guy who recommended Savage Wolverine as a
It's
comic.
so great.
And how much does he mope in that?
He doesn't have time to. He's slicing through ninjas and velociraptors. Forgive him. He mopes later.
But I actually do agree with that, though. I do like that. I mean, the one of because Wolverine would be a really boring character if he was just a guy who was slicing and dicing people all the time. He does have a soul. He does have a heart.
No, it's true.
And that's and in some ways is a very romantic character.
I give Wolverine a lot of shit. I really do like the character. I own quite a few Wolverine books.
Not to be known from the comments you've made, and not just this, but many episodes.
I know. But like, I was just reading the second trade of the Miss Marvel.
Yes.
And when he shows up, I was like, yeah, Wolverine. He's the perfect mentor for Miss Marvel. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, because he's Wolverine. And everything's better with Wolverine.
I won't go that far.
I thought it was Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Well, that's movies. Every comic is better. Well, every comic's better with Harrison Ford, too.
Everything's better with
If you can get him in there.
I think we just have to finish the Harrison Ford with everything's better with Harrison Ford. Everything.
Yeah.
And the other ones, everything's
Everything.
better than
Yeah.
with Wolverine.
But all comics are better with Wolverine in them.
Sometimes.
Hence the Marvel mandate of the 90s. If this book wasn't selling well, throw Wolverine in there.
Sure.
That'll boost
Curveball
sales.
special right into sales.
Yeah. It makes no sense for him to show up. We don't care. This will sell books.
That's why Edward
Do you wanna
Scissorhands
keep
was
writing
so
the book?
important.
Important?
Yes.
Why was Edward Scissorhands important in regards to Wolverine?
I'll tell you why. It brought, at the time, no
I
medium,
didn't think he would actually start an answer here, but this is amazing.
no Wolverine comics have been put into movies.
Uh-huh.
Tim Burton showed us it was possible. Tim Burton said, somebody with metal on his hands, we can do this. And Edward Scissorhands, kind of mopey.
Oh, kind of?
Very mopey.
See, there
He's
we go.
the mopiest.
He had all the qualities. Little did Tim Burton know he was really bringing Hugh Jackman out of the darkness into the light.
Oh, my God.
I only say that because it's the reverse season in Australia. The darkness and the light was just a changing of the seasons thing. It wasn't. He was never
What?
on the dark side of the force. Don't worry about it.
That wraps up another entry in our segment, Crazy Theories with Donovan Eilert. There is now an Edward Scissorhands comic, though. IDW publishes it.
Any good?
I haven't read it, but I did.
Any allegories to Wolverine?
Probably
Does he
a lot.
just cut people's hair?
He does other things. He also does yard work
Yard work.
Topiary.
and ice sculptures.
Well, that's the. Yeah, I like the idea. He's like ice sculpture villains. Somebody with like a heat gun, and he just like has to fight him off so he can make the,
I don't think
make
the point
the
of,
swan.
I don't think the point of that comic is Edward Scissorhands fighting bad guys.
I doubt it.
Is Vincent Price in it at all?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's right. You haven't read
I
it,
haven't
but
read it.
man,
I hope so.
I hope he's in every issue as a ghost. The
Go-
ghost of Vincent Price.
The ghost of Vincent Price should be in everything. That would make everything better, is the ghost of Vincent Price.
If House on Haunted Hill has taught me anything.
We are creating the perfect formula for anything. Ghost of Vincent Price, Harrison Ford, Wolverine.
You've got a winning combination no matter what the situation.
Now I want to see a movie with Harrison Ford as Wolverine fighting Vincent Price, who is also Wolverine.
But the ghost of Vincent Price as
That
Wolverine.
movie's too insane to even like comprehend. Like in my head, I'm trying to picture just going like, "Wow, that would be crazy. That would make no sense, and it would be awesome at the same time."
Would it? John, I said it as a joke.
I would be there.
No, you've sold me.
Oh, great.
Start making this movie. You can get Bill Hader.
I want to see fan art of Harrison Ford, today's Harrison Ford as Wolverine,
Yes, it has to
fighting
be.
Vincent Price, classic era Vincent Price,
Well,
yeah.
who is also Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
Well, it'd be Bill Hader probably playing.
I was gonna say
Vincent
Bill
Price.
Hader would play Vincent Price. in
He's
that.
got a pretty solid Vincent Price.
So we talked a little bit about Edward Scissorhands' enemies.
Please segue into what this
watch
is.
it. Watch it.
Okay.
I'm doing it. We talked a little bit of Edward Scissorhands. I want to talk about the X-Men Rogues Gallery.
Okay, solid segue.
There's a lot of great X-Men specific villains.
There's some. One of the best villains ever is an X-Men specific villain.
Of course, Magneto.
Is he a villain?
This is
Depends on what book you're reading,
This is
who's
kind of a
writing it.
question. Yeah,
I really like the Cullen Bunn.
the Cullen Bunn Magneto I've talked about on the podcast before is fantastic.
It's like going around by himself, tracking down people who are making things all mucked up.
What
for
I've said to
mutants.
people is, if you really like that part in First Class where he's like hunting Nazis, this is kind of a comic.
That's
of
really
that.
what it is. Yeah.
which is awesome.
I'll have to read this.
Yeah. Magneto traveling vigilante.
Sure, yeah.
No, it's great. And Cullen Bunn, I mean, his stuff is always awesome. But this is a really good comic.
But we've talked at length about Magneto before.
We have.
There are
That's why I kind of want to
cool
move.
villains within the X-Men universe who aren't necessarily.
I mean, one of the
Magneto.
things. That is true. I mean, we mentioned the Juggernaut.
Juggernaut's fun, though. Again, one of those villains with a very weird, twisted backstory because he's not even a mutant technically.
No,
he's
he
not.
is.
It's magical.
Charles
It's
Xavier's stepbrother,
I thought it was half brother.
half brother.
I don't know,
I knew
actually.
they're not full brothers. Is what
Right.
I know. Who discovered in a cave?
I thought it was some. 'Cause this is how I know his origin story.
Okay.
He was Charles Xavier's half brother.
Uh-huh.
They discover some magical gem in like a ziggurat somewhere, and then it's collapsing, and he has to use the magic of the gem to break out, and now he can't be stopped, and he's the Juggernaut. But the gem is also making him evil somehow.
Yeah, I think that's in there. I don't know.
I'm sure I'll be corrected.
I've read the Stan Lee issue that introduces him, but and that's kind of it. But that's expanding even more, which I'm sure people have over the years.
Yeah.
Juggernaut's an insane character.
Oh
in
yeah,
that sense.
and somehow he got a helmet to stop telepathy.
Sure.
So did Magneto. So I don't know. Maybe they're just giving those out somewhere.
There's one helmet maker.
Telepathy helmet.
That's my mutant power is
Come
to
and get it.
make helmets that cancel out telepathy.
Just like a
Everybody gets one as long as supplies last.
mutant Hephaestus that's like on the side, just smithing, anti-telepathy helmets.
King.
Hephaestus already exists in the Marvel universe. Why does it have to be mutant Hephaestus?
Because he
No. Well, there is
telepathy.
Hephaestus, but this is the mutant equivalent of him.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, not mutant.
It is a mutant, not
Fair enough.
directly one.
So Forge,
Sure.
he's the mutant who can make anything.
So it's true. So some of the other villains, X-Men villains that we
Mr.
like.
Sinister.
Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister is great.
Oh yeah.
He's got that weird kind of Aryan vibe about it, like he's going for the master race sort of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So he's constantly trying to wrangle things, so he's producing the better human being, and that is obviously a horrible way of going about things.
Oh yeah.
How does he not
Bad call.
Yeah. But somehow he always seems to be, and sometimes at the end of the day he ends up working for Apocalypse.
Sure.
Who also kind of has that survival of the fittest mentality, though Mr. Sinister is kind of more of a guiding hand.
I mean, when you bring up Apocalypse, who's certainly one of the
Apocalypse
most
is great.
iconic, the first mutant.
Sabanur.
Yeah. I mean I mean he is as old as there's something I always like in a villain who is just he's been around forever, that ancient aspect of the evil of it is very threatening because it's just like
will always come back.
Yeah,
is the thing.
it's just like,
'Cause how
what
many
are-
times has Apocalypse died?
oh god, so many times.
And he's always come back.
Sure. I mean that's true about a lot of villains.
Sure, but it seems like Apocalypse, as opposed to some of these villains who miraculously come back from the dead or something, which that's happened with Apocalypse a couple of times.
Sure.
He has a persistence about him in that Apocalypse is a stain upon the world that can never be removed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's that ancient thing about like what are you gonna do? I've been here for thousands of years beyond you, and I'll be here for thousands of years after you.
Right.
He's got the
You were
Vandal
but a
Savage
footnote
approach.
in my history.
He's
yeah.
kind of got a Vandal Savage thing going on, but with more crazy superpowers.
Right.
Yeah.
And more legit history. I mean, because Vandal Savage can live forever, but he's been around for a while, but he doesn't go back as far as Apocalypse.
Depends which Vandal Savage
I was
you're
gonna
reading.
say,
Because
some are like
some are caveman Vandal Savage.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Whereas caveman predates Egyptian Empire.
Sure, yeah.
Just a bit.
Just by a bit.
Yeah. But no, I mean, Apocalypse is certainly a cool villain.
One of my favorites, mentioned before, Mystique.
Sure, yeah,
She goes
absolutely.
back and forth all the time. You never know if a mutant you're looking at is actually Mystique.
Yeah, there is
which is
something
kinda
cool
cool.
about that. I mean, the
My
camouflage
least
aspect
favorite
of-
part of the side-scrolling X-Men video arcade game is the fact that you fight 3 final bosses and twice it ends up being Mystique.
That's so awesome.
It's just Mystique!
So cool, and she's got
Damn you, Mystique!
She's crazy, awesome mutant powers. She not fathers, she mothers. She gives birth to. That's what I want to say.
Nightcrawler?
One of the coolest mutants.
Absolutely. I mean, Nightcrawler is definitely one of my favorite X-Men.
Yeah, I mean,
And everyone's, it seems like.
he's coming back.
If
for
I could
Apocalypse,
Bamf,
isn't
I
he?
would love
It
to.
is. Yeah, he is. He will be in Apocalypse.
They've released some photos of him, yeah?
He looked awesome.
That's really really cool, and I love Alan Cummings. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing it, but
No, I understand.
Yeah,
but I thought that was cool. And like I
no,
said,
he was fantastic.
But
as
Mystique,
Nightcrawler.
man, she's
One of the many problems with X3, where the hell's Nightcrawler?
Yeah, they couldn't get Alan Cumming was busy.
Yeah.
Is the real answer, which is sad.
Fair enough.
I think in the video game it explains, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
There's something like that in the X-Men 3 tie-in video game. There's an explanation as to where Nightcrawler is.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Teleported
So
in one
play
wrong
that,
direction.
everyone. No, I didn't. I never played it. I don't know what the answer to it is. I was going to say another villain that I love is, and it's sort of a villain and then a group of villains, is Sebastian Shaw and the Hellfire Club.
Hellfire
Yeah.
Club's okay.
Yeah.
I don't
What,
know.
you don't like 'em?
I've never been a huge fan of the Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
Like they play an important role in some of the stories I like Dark Phoenix Saga. I like the fact that they're
Yeah.
an evil organization that kind of gets the ball rolling where that's concerned. But they were like, well, let's corrupt Jean Grey. But then they kind of got the genie out of the bottle and didn't quite know what they were getting where the Dark Phoenix was concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the idea that they're going for evil, but then they accidentally go too evil.
I like in a lot of interpretations when Emma Frost has been at first a villain.
Well, yeah, and
And then now-
she has connections to the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
her individually as a character who now is technically an X-Men,
And she's been an X-Men for a while now.
but that's awesome. You know, there's this.
But
this
she's still got
crossing
this
over.
creepiness about her, even as an X-Men. There's something off about
It's
her.
because she.
Because she's a sociopath.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. Where it's like, even if she's on your side, you're like, is she on my side or is she on her own side? And
You never
we happen
know
to
when
be in
she's going to
agreement
flip
right
a
now.
switch and go
Right,
do her own
right,
thing.
yeah.
Which is kind of cool because you have Wolverine, who's always out for I'm not going to say out for himself, but you can't
I
ever
think-
count on him doing the plan. He's going to do what he thinks needs to be done,
But
but it's always going to be good.
I think Wolverine's in a bit of that like Han Solo rogue camp where it's sort of like he's going to go like, look, I don't care about anybody or anything. He totally cares about everybody and everything. Is
Exactly.
the thing though about him.
But then you've got him who's going to go do his own thing, but it's going to work out, and
Right.
he's going to help people.
He's
And
still
then you've
doing
got-
something for the greater good.
And then you've got Emma Frost who might go off and do her own thing, and it could be horribly, horribly wrong.
oh yeah,
Horribly, horribly
oh
wrong.
yeah, no question about it.
Because she's out for number one.
Yes.
I mean,
Scott.
something you mentioned. I mean, one of the great X-Men villains you mentioned. I mean, just is the concept of the Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
How do you qualify that as a villain?
Well, I mean, or a threat of some sort. I would
Sure,
still
it's a threat.
I would still put it as part of the rogues sort of gallery of.
Sure.
I don't know if you can necessarily. I have a tough time. That's
I mean,
like throwing
eventually
the symbiote onto the
Which
it's
I
more
did on
interesting-
the Spider-Man
Yeah,
episode.
but it's more interesting when it infects individuals. It's not necessarily
you can
about that thing that is the bad
but I mean,
guy.
you bring it to obviously when it infects Jean Grey.
Sure,
and
that
then-
whole Dark Phoenix thing, and
and
then
then
you have Avengers
Avengers
versus
versus
X-Men
X-Men.
when it infects like 5 guys.
Yeah, including Emma Frost.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Phoenix Emma Frost was crazy.
oh yeah, I mean, regular Emma Frost is crazy. Add the Phoenix Force to it. Look out. And I mean, and heartbreaking with the Phoenix-controlled Cyclops killing Professor Xavier. You know,
Sure.
which spoiler alert, I guess. I mean,
But I feel
everything on
like
this show.
that was, again, Phoenix is one of those things that brings out the darker emotions in people. It's not necessarily controlling them, though. It's highlighting some of the worst bits about them or the primal bits about them.
Yeah.
So saying it controlled Cyclops into killing Professor Xavier.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent.
Sure.
I mean, I don't. He would not have done that in any other scenario.
Sure.
I don't think Scott Summers was just on a path to kill Xavier no matter what.
The world may never know.
Who's some other X-Men villains that are?
Toad? We're going to talk about Toad?
I mean, there's the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
yeah, it was
Sabretooth?
Sabretooth, yeah.
Sabretooth is cool because he's an anti-Wolverine. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that he's the polar opposite of Wolverine. It's that he constantly wants to dick with Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something about
His
that.
whole thing is trying to get up in Wolverine's grill and just mess up his day.
Yeah.
Regardless of the cost to everyone
It's
else
fun.
around him.
It's really fun. That
Yeah,
opening
he's
scene.
just a douche. You know, I mean, like there's something cool about that. He's a douche with mutant powers.
The opening episode to the 92 X-Men show, he's like throwing cars around. He's like causing a disturbance. He's just like all kinds of crazy.
Oh yeah,
It's cool.
yeah. No, he's cool.
Pyro is another cool. You like Pyro?
But where the Brotherhood's concerned, I really...
No,
I mean, the fact that it
no,
introduced Scarlet Witch and
Pyro's
Quicksilver...
fine.
Okay.
Pyro's fine, but he's an anti-Iceman.
No, we're getting into these like mirror images or these.
Sure, yeah. And there's
Which are interesting.
a few of those. Yeah.
But come on, the fact that the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants introduced us to the characters of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's such an important
Who
introduction
became
to comics.
hugely important characters in X-Men, and then even bigger characters in Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they are.
And their whole relationship with Magneto is obviously very fascinating and awesome. We've talked at length about that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, thank you, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, for that. I guess that's the one thing I can say that about.
Then the other side we have to talk about are things like Bolivar Trask and the Sentinels.
Oh well, sure, the Sentinels. I mean, in some way, I mean, I remember a while back we were looking at a list online of the greatest X-Men villains. We were like Wolverine, or no, not Wolverine, Magneto.
Right.
And
It listed Sentinels as number 1.
no, it was Magneto was number 2, and Mankind in general was number 1. Humans are the biggest villains in X-Men.
Sure.
Which I do like the poetic nature of that.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's true though to a certain extent. Like the biggest threat are
The
people.
Purifiers, the Sentinels, all of these different groups that are just like, we need to kill the mutants.
William Stryker.
Stryker.
Yeah, I mean, people like I don't know. If
Weapon X.
Yeah,
That whole organization trying to
exactly. Yeah,
turn mutants into
people
weapons.
trying to exploit this sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, they are terrible.
Oh, yeah. Awful human beings.
Yeah,
Specifically, they're awful human beings. They're not ultra powered supervillains. They're people trying to either corrupt or destroy.
I mean, that's a big thing that's different in the X-Men books, which is like the Avengers are trying to stop the destruction of the planet, right? The X-Men are trying to just stop the destruction of their own people, their minority,
and at times failing.
Yeah.
Because you got things like the legacy virus that gets released and wipes out a good chunk of mutant kind. And then you have the whole House of M thing, where it's like,
Sure.
that was completely... How do you even stop that?
Well, you can't. I mean, yeah, there's
Scarlet Witch saying, no more mutants.
right? I mean, you don't fight that,
Right.
but hey, the mutants are back now, so
Kind of.
they're
back.
they're pretty much back.
Yeah. I mean, they're around.
Yeah.
But it's not... But House of M was interesting because you were getting to this big tipping point of just like, well, millions of people are mutants. So you've got superpowered people all over the place. And House of M, I think, was an attempt to kind of clean slate the Marvel Universe a little bit in terms of shrinking the world.
Right. Which they feel the need to do every so often.
It's the Ultron approach.
including right now.
You know?
Yeah, it's
Get
the
rid of everything.
Yeah, it's the Ultron approach. Burn it down, start anew.
And the best stuff will evolve to become greater.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we still have Wolverine?
Sometimes it works.
Wolverine will always survive.
Yeah.
True.
Well, technically,
even when he's dead right now,
dead
which
right now,
he'll be
but-
back.
It's interesting.
I've never been worried.
Both Wolverine and Professor X are actually dead in both 616 and Ultimate. That's interesting.
They're coming back.
No,
though.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I know.
We're gonna get a search for Spock going on.
Search for Wolverine.
Do you see we're going to get
Wolverine.
another Old Man Logan tie-in with Secret Wars?
No, I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're
Is
getting
Millar
like
writing it.
I don't know who's writing it, but we're getting like a short little series set in the Old Man Logan stuff.
I like that.
Basically, if any alternate reality thing happened in Marvel, there's going to be some tie-in with Secret Wars.
That's kind of a cool idea. I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Like we're getting the '90s X-Men thing, or
which I'm so excited about.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So
I know Jerry
that's
Duggan's
cool.
writing some like Western where Steve Rogers is a sheriff of an old Western town.
I want to read that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, yeah, there's a lot of cool opportunity to do stuff like that and getting to experiment with the characters. Is pretty awesome. So what else do you guys want to say about X-Men other than they're awesome?
Yeah, I mean, X-Men has always been one of those books that I feel like it's not necessarily been my primary focus in reading. I'm not a big X-Men fanboy. But
I love the X-Men, but I do fall in the camp of a lot of people, which is I am primarily a Wolverine fan.
sure.
I read way more Wolverine on his own.
Whereas I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm drawn to like the Stranger, like the Kitty Pryde books are always fun. Like the Wolverine Kitty Pryde one
That was great.
Is a fun book.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily drawn to is Wolverine in the title? Well, then I'm going to read it. So the X books that I'm reading are generally ones that are handed to me and been like, these ones are really, really good. So I'll read like anything in Claremont's run.
Sure, yeah.
Or who was it? Remender's run on X-Force?
Yeah, Remender's Uncanny X-Force
That was
great.
Like
And
the
actually
whole
the-
Apocalypse Solution stuff was so cool.
Yeah, and the stuff before that's great, too. The Craig Kyle, Chris Yost stuff
Yeah.
is also really good.
X-Force has always been a little darker, a little grittier than the mainline X-Men
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the Remender
Oh, yeah.
run. Whoo!
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
It got dark.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the thing. X-Force does the stuff that regular X-Men won't do. And,
Right,
and,
or
and shouldn't
do
Yeah.
for like the good of mutants
Right.
being perceived by humanity.
Yeah, I've always sort of seen them as like the Black Ops guys of, of the mutant world.
Mm-hmm. Whereas like Excalibur is kind of like the MI6.
Right.
And the, what's the other one?
X Factor?
X Factor is kind of like the street level PIs.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a noirish sort of X-Men thing, which I always thought was fun, particularly the Peter David stuff.
Yeah.
What I always feel like is, why aren't people like the Avengers Initiative just waiting outside the Xavier Institute, just waiting for like either rejects that they can then mold, or like top of the class? You know, I mean, they need people for the Avengers Initiative. They need people for all kinds of things.
That's what the Great Lakes Avengers do.
Oh yeah, they just.
How do you think they recruited Squirrel Girl?
That's probably right.
She's technically a mutant.
The Great Lakes Avengers.
They're the best.
I wouldn't go that far.
They're not even close to the best.
I know them well because they've appeared
Whoa.
in many, many Deadpool comics as a joke.
Yeah.
But I mean, why? Oh, you've got all these gifted people, and they're flocking to this
school.
this school, this mecca.
So why not be an Avenger, is what you're saying?
Sure. Why not? Or like, why aren't people figuring out how to like make the best use of these people? Because you think about how many.
I think they are, and they're people like the X-Men and the Avengers.
But how many thousands of people have been mutants trained there? How many people? I mean, I guess
It's true. Why isn't the school like supported and sanctioned by like a shield? Where it's like these are hundreds, if not thousands, of powered people. Why aren't we like? Why isn't this an ROTC program for Shield?
Because they're mutants. I don't know. I mean, like I think. I mean, the real answer is because then the stories would be pretty boring. They would have way too much support. But Xavier seems to have a lot of money at his disposal.
Yeah, he's got psychic money powers. I don't know.
Psychic money powers.
He's like, you there, and you can't see it, but my fingers is to my head in the classic psychic gesture.
Of course.
You there, give me money. Like he can just do that.
Wow, Professor Xavier's a lot worse person than I thought.
I
want to
see young Xavier.
He could be
Take everything.
such an extortionist, and we wouldn't know because it's all psychic.
Young Xavier.
He's never saying out loud, "Give me all your money," but he's saying it in your brain. You can't help but give it to him.
I'm gonna write
like
that
that-
comic where he's in Vegas.
Yeah.
And just like reading.
I hit 21.
He rolls
Oh
up.
my God, he hit 21.
He doesn't even have cards in front of him. Give this guy some chips.
I love the idea that he would roll into a casino and they'd just be like, no, out, you, out.
Just there's a big sign out front that says like bald guys in wheelchairs circle slash.
I got a lot of complaints about that.
Do not admit this man. He's taking us for millions. Millions.
Damn it, they've kicked me out of Vegas. Only one thing left to do. Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah.
Just Xavier going to like trolling the country for casinos.
There's another miniseries.
Charles Xavier, card shark.
Yes! This miniseries needs to be written. I'll write it after Iron Man, Just a Dude. Professor Xavier, Card Shark.
Master of the grift.
Yeah, of course.
There's no hand he won't deal.
Wow, you're writing all of the advertisements for me. I love it.
Wow.
There's a lot of promotion on the table right now. Your move, Marvel.
I just want Beast in that like green see-through visor, counting up his money. It's
The
like,
little glasses on his nose, yeah. For some reason, he still has one of those
Sure.
calculators with the roll of paper on it.
yeah. Your income stream is very troubling, Professor. Don't worry about it, Beast.
I'm taking care of it. Next stop, Monaco.
The offshore casinos, that's where the real money is.
Oh, yeah. No limits.
And just like issue 3, it's them with like a banner intervention. Professor, we think you have a problem.
He has to go to Gamblers Anonymous. Oh, Wolverine, you gotta help me out. I'm in debt to some bad people. Even his psychic powers is still losing somehow.
Even though he can literally control people's minds.
I got a little full of myself. Things got bad. Now the mob's gonna break my legs. Oh no, there. Yeah.
That's the real story of how he had use of his
wow.
legs.
Or the idea of like, we're gonna break your legs. He's like, fine, go ahead.
Joke's on you. That's fucking awful.
Yes, he's gonna come back to life so he can do this.
I'm ready for it.
That's gonna be great for the legacy of that character. So aside from that, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
What can follow that?
nobody moves the Blob. I don't know. I feel like that had to be said at least once.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all that needs to be said about him. Yeah, because the Blob is the Blob, you know?
Yeah, the Blob is one of the laziest supervillains ever written. Well, what's his evil power? He's super fat.
He can't be moved.
Ugh,
Okay.
God.
That does what? Okay, sure.
No, you don't understand just how fat the Blob is.
No, you have no idea.
Ugh.
Makes
Rolls upon rolls.
Makes Wilson Fisk looks like he have an eating disorder.
I believe Patton Oswalt coined it as a tragic avalanche fat. It's like an alpine village was smothered at some point.
Yeah, so if you guys don't have anything else, I think that's going to wrap up our X-Men conversation for today.
We love X-Men.
We love the X-Men.
We do.
And that's why I say it'll wrap up our conversation for today, because we'll come back to them at some point.
If you had to recommend one, like, X story to people, I know we have a recommendation section.
Yeah. But this is an X-Men specific
Yeah, if
one.
you had to recommend, like, an X story to somebody, where would you go?
God Loves, Man Kills. Yeah, Claremont.
Sure.
And that was written as its own, like, thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go there.
If you're familiar with like kind of the general progression and who's dead and who's not and how that's gone, pick up Uncanny X-Men by Joss Whedon.
Astonishing
X-Men.
Astonishing. I'm sorry.
I would also. I mean, that would be.
Astonishing X-Men. I just love. I mean, we just did a whole Avengers episode, but the writing of Joss Whedon is just blows my mind.
When you know he wrote a draft of the X-Men movie that was thrown out, right?
Yes, I cry every time.
Between that and Wonder Woman, it's just like, does Hollywood have zero appreciation for him up until Avengers?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's sad but true. But anyways, I really like.
No, he saved a lot of movies, actually.
Yes,
He wrote for Roseanne, didn't he?
Yeah, that was one of his first jobs.
I mean,
But he has
saved that show.
He
It
has an
would've been-
Academy Award nomination for writing Toy Story, so, you know, I mean.
Well, I mean, that was okay. It wasn't no Roseanne.
That was okay.
He wrote Speed, he wrote Twister, he wrote Waterworld, all uncredited.
Titan AE.
Titan AE, that he did.
I
get
do
rid of.
that
love
movie.
Titan AE.
So, I mean,
Can't
here-
call Planet Bob. Why not? Who made you the king of Bob?
See, then that sounds like Whedon. But this is not about him. This is about X-Men and
Your
when he almost
title.
wrote them. Yeah, what would you recommend, Gregor?
Oh, I mean, mine's going to be lazy. I'm going to say Dark Phoenix Saga.
Sure.
I love Dark Phoenix Saga so much.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
So long as you don't read too much past it, I feel like, because once you get into the Madeline Pryor stuff, it starts getting weird.
Sure.
But I really,
What are you going to do, though? They all get weird
no, it's
eventually.
true.
It seems like.
But
At
yeah,
some
the
point,
whole
all these comics have been
like
weird.
Dark Phoenix Saga. There's a couple of collected trades of it out there, but it's great.
Yeah, and those are pretty good encapsulations. I mean, if you get those.
But I'd
trades.
also agree with both of you. Like, both of those books are awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of great X-Men out there, and I mean, I would agree
yeah.
with both of your suggestions as well. So now let's turn to our recommendation segment, where we recommend potentially X-Men related
It
titles.
could
I
be,
don't
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Mine is tangentially related.
So is mine.
So is mine.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
Here we go. Gorgoni, you want to start us?
I will start. I recently picked up a wonderful omnibus of the 1990 or 1977 Dark Horse. Well, Dark Horse clearly wasn't making this comic at the time, but they collected it.
Yeah.
It's John Carter of Mars.
Yes.
I keep stumbling over this.
How is that connected to?
I'll get to that.
Cool.
Chris Claremont wrote a pretty long run of John Carter of Mars in 1977. He wrote it for at least 12 issues. And there's this great storyline where John Carter is assassinated and Dejah Thoris swears vengeance and goes on a quest to avenge him. It's okay, though. He's fine.
Was this Marvel stuff by any chance?
I don't know who was publishing it at the time. Again, I just have the Dark Horse collected edition. But Frank Miller actually drew one of the issues that Chris Claremont was writing. Yeah.
It's a cool
Claremont
team
and Miller. I mean, the team who would give us the Wolverine Japan stuff.
When was that published?
That would have been early 80s.
So they might have met on this?
Could be.
Interesting. But yeah, I've always been a huge fan of Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars series. That 1920s camp sci-fi action.
Pulp. It's pulp.
It is literally Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Was what it was at the time.
Yeah, which is cool.
And I love those books. And finding this on Free Comic Book Day, actually, found this for $5. I was just like sold.
Yeah.
So
that was a pretty easy grab.
Oh, it totally was.
I had it in my hand at one time too. I was like, "This is awesome."
And as is my normal criteria, it is a book hefty enough to beat a man to death
I've
with.
seen it.
So
yes,
yeah.
it is. It's a frightening book.
So yeah, John Carter of Mars. It's the collection's actually called Warlord of Mars.
Cool.
It's for what it is. It's a fun read.
Cool. That's awesome, and especially in like that kind of Claremont stuff.
Yeah.
And Claremont and Miller. Awesome.
I was surprised as well.
The book I have to recommend this week is Cyclops, the current Marvel Cyclops solo title, which is written by Greg Rucka and drawn by Russell Dauterman, and then Carmen Carnero took over for him.
I've been wondering about this because this is the title kind of post Avengers v X-Men.
Well, this is post all new X-Men, so this is past Cyclops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from the Bendis stuff.
Oh, okay.
So this is a Cyclops who has come from the past into the future, seen that he grows up to be maybe not the best guy, and that he killed his mentor. So, like, 16-year-old Scott Summers is like, I killed my father figure?
Uh-oh.
And then subsequently finds out his parents, who he thought were dead, didn't die, although his mother is dead now, and that his father is a space pirate. And so
Frickin' Starjammers, man.
The comic is him traveling around space with his father, as his father teaches him how to be a space warrior, basically.
Nice.
Teaches him how to sword fight, teaches him how to fly spaceships.
Buckle your swashes in space.
It is a swashbuckling space adventure.
Say that 3 times fast.
With a 16-year-old kid who shoots optic blasts at it.
Awesome.
He has optic blasts at that time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's got the thing. So
Because the whole thing with the all new X-Men is like this was the original team that Xavier put together, which was brought from the past to the future by Beast.
Yeah.
Because
Right, because-
reasons?
well, he needs to show, like, he's trying to prevent what happened by showing the past
Sure.
versions the consequences.
How's that
of their
working out,
actions.
Beast?
Well, now they're just really confused and they can't get him back. And Jean Grey's like, I died?
I went crazy and almost killed everybody and then died?
Like, what? Where am I?
Gulp.
But then yeah, I mean, it's terrible for all of them. But no, it's a super fun book, Cyclops. There's a lot of fun stuff. Like I said, like he teaches him how to sword fight, and Cyclops is like, "Why would I need to sword fight? I can shoot lasers out of my eyes." It's like, I don't want you relying on that kid.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's a really
He still
really
throws
fun.
punches in the comics. And you're like, why
Yeah.
doesn't he just shoot everybody all the time?
So I mean, this idea that he can be sword fighting one guy and then blast a whole group of people with his eyes and another. It's a really fun comic, and I love anything Greg Rucka does.
Sure,
We're all
sure.
big Greg Rucka fans, and
Yes.
he's doing a great job with this. So there's one volume of it out now from Marvel, and
have to check that out.
there's another volume that may even be out by the time this episode comes out. So Cool.
Donovan, what do you got?
Cool. My recommendation this week is East of West,
Oh, yeah.
Hickman.
who is the original mutant apocalypse. This is about kind of a.
This is about the apocalypse.
It's kind of about the apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's the description I have here is the science fiction western set in a dystopian version of the United States, whose fate rests with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yep.
Good
Which
time.
is super awesome.
Oh,
which
it's a
is
really
like,
cool book.
It's Jonathan Hickman with art by Nick Dragotta, and it is. Here's how I've been describing it to a few people I've talked to. It's like in high school or maybe middle school when you see a piece of art, like you see a movie that you're like, this is incredible. But I know I have to either be much older or watch it much later in life to absorb all of it. You know,
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
to take this in multiple more times. I feel-
Reading Dune at 12 was maybe not the...
Sure.
but you read it and it was like, this is amazing.
Something about this speaks to me. I'm going to read this every year until I finally get it. I'm not there yet,
Sure,
but
but every time you take it in, it's getting better. And
Yes.
I feel that same way with this book. Like I'm reading.
I feel this
through
way
it.
about all of Hickman's stuff.
Really.
Yeah,
I
have you
don't
read
think I've read
other-
much other Hickman
I've
stuff.
been going through
Ooh.
his stuff, his volumes of New Avengers and Avengers that are leading into Secret Wars, and like God, he's been hinting at this for years. Like the whole like universes colliding with each other.
He's a planner. Like,
Oh my God, it's crazy.
I highly recommend his Fantastic Four run.
Cool.
But it's super like I don't. There are times I understand what he's talking about, and other times when I don't. He
Yeah.
also does it. There's a really good book he does called God Is Dead. The Manhattan Projects is the other awesome comic he does.
Well, what's
Oh, yeah,
super
I've heard
cool
about
is
that.
it doesn't detract from the comic because
No.
I'm still reading it. I'm like, this is so cool. I know I'm missing stuff.
Yeah.
but this is so cool.
No, you
know?
are able to follow it as a story, even while going like, I don't know what he's saying.
And you
here.
like
It's like
reread a
Twin
page
Peaks.
and you're like, whoa.
It's like Twin Peaks.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say Hickman's the David Lynch of comic book writers.
Huh.
I
Let it be
like,
known.
I like the journey he's taking me on. I don't understand all of it, but I
That
really
made me more
am
aligned
understanding
with Warren Ellis, but
Yeah, they're kind of similar in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're cut from the same cloth.
A weird, wrinkly cloth that
Yeah.
some of us appreciate, but not necessarily understanding.
I don't need to understand it. It's a wrinkly cloth. What more do you want?
But no, East of West is a really good book.
It's really fun. And
Yeah.
if you like sci-fi or Western or
I like both of those
the
things.
apocalypse,
Also that.
yeah, then it's your book.
Yeah, we need
Also,
more sci-fi westerns.
Image
always.
does this great and terrible thing where the first trade is like $10,
Yep.
and you just justify it in half a second, and you're like, "Well, that's okay, great," and then you pick
you're
it up,
hooked,
and then you get
you're
hooked,
paying
and
like $16.99 for the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next book, and the next book, and the
This
next book.
happens to be.
it's called inflation.
Yeah.
No, it's called The First Taste is Cheap.
Yeah, it's true. It's like a drug deal, but it's great. I
And
picked
as
up
somebody
a
who's
couple.
addicted,
It's like a drug deal, but it's great.
Yeah,
as somebody who's addicted to a lot of Image books, it's not, but it's awesome at the same time. It's Image really.
No,
prints
I
a
mean
lot of
that's how
good
you
books.
that's how you got me into Lazarus, and I just picked up Low, so I'm really looking forward to reading that.
Yes.
It's just like $10. Yeah, I can do $10 easy.
Absolutely. But then when you have to know what's going to happen, and they're like, sure, $15.99, and you can find out what happens. I'm like, oh, okay, it was because I need to read Volume 3 of Lazarus. Like I have to.
It's true. It was really good.
Yeah, it's awesome. All of Lazarus is so good. I also check that out.
I want to check out East to West. What is it?
East of West.
East-
yeah,
East of West.
I love that too.
Very cool
Yeah.
comic.
Or I could just buy the first one because
It's super cheap.
Yeah. And sometimes Amazon will have it for like, $6.
whoa,
Yeah.
say that risque.
Yeah.
Just send it damaged. Send it
$6.
send it cut in half, but it's like $6.
Yeah, cool. So those are our recommendations this week here on Panel on Panels. And if you want to check us out or know more about us or just let us know that you're listening,
Interact with us in some quasi-digital, meaningful way.
yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at Panel on Panels. We're also Panel on Panels on Facebook. You can email us, panelonpanels@gmail.com, if you want to say something longer or more personal, heartfelt, if you want.
Direct attacks.
Yeah, well, that too, I guess.
We also now have an Instagram and a Pinterest page. Just because
Those are,
Panel on Panels. I'm
Panel
one
on
of those.
Panels, yeah, look for that. You should be able to find us.
Check
Our
those out.
logo. You're
Yeah.
listening to this, you've seen our logo. It's on your phone or your car or your house. We own your house.
Yep.
We own
Just because our
your
logo
house.
is on those things, does that make them ours?
Yes.
We need to start producing so many stickers.
We've
have
been functioning on this theory for a while
in the
now, so
basement. We have been. Come down.
Excellent.
we're just sticking them on the side of comic book stores. We have everything. Everything is in the
Hey,
stores. Ours
can
now.
I borrow this book? It's mine.
Yeah.
Anyways, so.
I see my sticker on it. It's been
Yeah.
there for years.
But there's a Panel on Panel sticker outside, so we're
Legally, we can't. Our
everything
hands
in
are
here
tied.
is ours.
You're going to loan me some money? Panel on Panels is on your wallet. So all that's mine.
Technically, you don't loan me anything. You give me what belongs to me.
This bank, that's ours. So all the money plays.
Don't think that's how that works.
I'm pretty sure it is. Until somebody tells me otherwise, I'm going to function as if it is. And there will be no consequences. So that does it for Panel on Panels this week. Thanks for listening, and I've been John Campbell.
I am currently Mike Gorgoni.
And I will always be Donovan Eilert.
Keep reading comics, everyone. And remember, as always, hashtag Archie is our stalwart.
Hashtag Archie is our stalwart.
Hashtag Archie is our stalwart.
That one got really creepy.